So let's begin. Now, there's some common myths. A lot of students ask me about certain things, such as having an American, British accent, and other things. So I get these questions a lot from different students, and so I thought it would be a good idea to dispel these myths. So these are the common myths that people have about IELTS speaking. Hello, Nana, nice to see you. Welcome. Okay, so these are the common myths that people have. They may have been told, they may have just kind of thought about them and maybe assumed that these are the cases, but really these aren't the cases. Although there's one exception. Actually, there is an exception. Forget that. Sorry about that. But again, these are the common myths that I usually am asked by students. First of all, speaking is the easiest module. I actually don't think it is the easiest module because, first of all, you have to come up with your own ideas. You have to use the language that you've learned rather than use the language. You have to use the language that you've learned how to speak with in terms of communicating. Whereas reading and listening, you use the language that you know, the words that you know, but you don't use. I think speaking is probably the most difficult part of the IELTS test, because you have to think about what you say. You have to consider the words. You're sitting in front of another person speaking. And so it can be a bit difficult for most people, especially if you're new with IELTS. But we train our students to be confident. And in time, you will be confident and you'll do well when you speak. You'll have that sense of confidence when you speak. Now, the next thing is, do I have to sound like a native speaker? Well, no, you don't. You don't have to. Okay, well, I'll explain that later. Not using complex grammatical structures for fear of making mistakes. So people will ask about grammar. Do I have to really focus on grammar? So I'll get into that too. Now, if you're good at, now some people assume that since they're already good at grammar, they'll do well on the speaking portion. Okay, so that's another myth. Not hesitating while speaking will give you a good score. So can you speak at length for the entire 2 minutes for the cue card without stopping? Well, that's good, but that doesn't ensure that you'll do well, and we'll take a look at that one. You must answer every question, even if you don't understand. Well, I'll get in that one too. That's a little bit trickier one. And then you don't need to cover all the points for the cue card. That may be true, that may not be true. We'll take a look at that later. And then repeating ideas from the cue card while answering follow-up questions. So sometimes students think that I want to answer the follow-up questions by using the same ideas I had for the cue card. Well, that's not true. So now let's take a closer look at these. All right, so we got more people joining us. Do say hello. Let me know who's joined. All right, so now speaking is the easiest module. As I said, it's not. I really don't think so. The reason why people think this is because they believe that the examiner is there to help you. And the examiner is not there to help you. The examiner is only there to, first of all, ask you questions, control the time, test your ability to speak, and then this examiner has strict rules. One of those rules is not to help you. Sure, they're friendly and such. They seem nice and pleasant, but they're not there to help you. They're there to test you, and that's their job. Okay, so speaking is not the easiest module for that reason. Now, you must sound like a native speaker. This is another one I often get. Do you have to, do you need to sound like have a British or American accent? Absolutely not. Everyone has an accent. People throughout Great Britain have an accent. People in the US and Canada have different accents, okay? So accent doesn't matter. What really matters here is clarity of speech. So what matters is your ability to speak clearly and understandably, okay? That's really what matters here. All right, now, not using complex grammatical structures for fearing of making mistakes. So now you will always get a lower score if you stick to simple sentences. If you try to use complex structures, even if you make some mistakes, you will score higher if you just stick to simpler sentences, okay? So you should attempt to use more complexity in your sentence structures. Then, so it's okay if you make a few errors. And then as you study grammar, work to increase complexity. Now, there are some things that you can make use of in terms of complex structures. Modal verbs, these are your helping verbs. Would, should, could, those verbs. So use those. They will really increase your grammatical level. Conditional clauses. So if I had a chance to move somewhere, it would be Canada. So a conditional clause is, one moment, please. Okay, sorry about that. Conditional clauses, these are clauses basically that have a condition. If you can see here, if I had a chance to move, it would be. The condition here is it would be Canada. So conditional clauses, those are good to use in your speech, especially say in your follow-up questions, and even in your general questions too. Time clauses, these are good as well, such as, especially in your cue card when you're talking about something that happened. So you can see as our example here goes, as soon as I get my results, that's indicating a time. And then reported speech. Reported speech is when you report what someone else has said. So my mother always says, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you get. So, so those are some things that you can use. There's others, and I really encourage you guys to go out and work on your grammar, build it, but don't just stick to, if you're having trouble with grammar, don't just stick to simple sentences. Really try to attempt to do better in terms of trying to show complexity. Again, you'll score higher with errors if you don't try, okay? So do that. Now, not getting a higher score if you don't know the answer to a question. Now, if you don't know an answer to the question, that's okay. There are no right answers or wrong answers. And a lot of students tend to think that there are right answers or wrong answers. Every once in a while, I get a student who asks me, I ask a general question. And the student will ask me, well, what should I say? How should I answer this? And I have to tell the student that there's no right answer, no wrong answer. It's based on relevancy. That's what matters. How relevant your response is to the question. So the examiners are not looking at how, a correct answer to a question. They're looking at how relevant your answer is. One moment, please. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the disturbances. So now what you should do, the answers must be about the topic. And that's what I mean by relevancy. The answers must be about the topic, but you're tested on how clearly you speak and your grammar and vocabulary ability. And then you're tested also on your ability to speak at length, without pauses, without stopping, without hesitations and stuff and things like that. And then you are tested on how well you can stay relevant on topic. Okay, so that's what you're tested on. So again, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. Okay, so got some more people in. So hello everyone who's joined. Do say hello and ask questions. Now, if you're good at grammar, this is another myth. Again, if you're good at grammar, you'll do very well. Well, no, because grammar makes up only 25% of your score. Okay, you have to do well in the other criteria. This is fluency and coherence, lexical resources, and pronunciation. If you do poorly in one area but do well in the others, you could do okay. You might get like a mid score, maybe at most 7 or so. But if you just rely on your ability for grammar, you're not going to do well. So you need to really focus on all the 4 criteria to really do well. And so what you want to do is, besides grammar, work on your ability to speak at length, build your vocabulary, and improve your pronunciation. Okay, so those, like I said, you want to focus on all 4 areas. It's really important. Now, the next myth is not hesitating while speaking will give you a good score. Well, yes, that's true, but there's some hesitations that are natural. Native speakers tend to hesitate every once in a while as they speak. Not hesitating falls under fluency, and fluency is important, but it's only 25% of your score. You also need to speak clearly and logically too. And that's covered under fluency because fluency is also paired with coherence. And that's about how logically your response is in terms of structure, how relevant you are to the topic, things like that. So that's what fluency is, fluency and coherence. But you do want to, if you do have, let me backtrack. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. As I was saying, you do want to focus on fluency. It is important, but focus on the others. But you can also work on improving, on limiting the hesitations by practicing daily. Okay, if you want, that's a good thing to do to improve fluency is by working on limiting the hesitations by practicing, but you also want to practice the other areas too. Now, sometimes we hesitate because we don't know what to say, and that can be common. That's common for a lot of students. So if you don't know what to say at the beginning, you can try saying some of these phrases I have here, or something similar. For instance, that's an interesting question. Let me think a moment. I never thought about that. Let me see. I don't know about this topic, but I think, and then try to answer. Okay. So, if you have to hesitate, it shouldn't be because you're searching for the word. It should be more content related. So if you're thinking of what to say, sometimes natural hesitations occur for that reason. Okay. So that's when you want to hesitate. And then hesitation, again, is natural, but when you hesitate a lot, that's not natural. Okay. All right. Now, The next myth is you must answer every question if you don't understand them. Okay, one moment, please. Okay, sorry about that. Now, again, the myth is you must answer every question even if you don't understand it. It's okay if you don't understand the question. You can ask the examiner to repeat the question, but you don't want to do this for every question. For one or two questions, it's okay, but not for every question. If you do it for every question, the examiners want to think that you have a really poor level of English. So you want to make sure that you understand the question. And for one or two questions, if you don't understand, ask for the examiner to restate it. And it's perfectly okay because even native speakers ask for clarification from time to time. And that's what you will be doing when you ask to have the question repeated. So, and you should try to answer each question to the best of your ability. If you don't have experience or knowledge, talk about something that you do know that's related. So you could say, I don't know, I don't have any experience like that. For example, here on the screen, I don't know about visiting an island, but I would like to talk about my visit to the coast. So that's what you know that you can change the subject slightly. Okay, now another myth is you don't need to cover all the points for the cue card. You know, the cue card comes with 4 bullet points. For example, here I have describe a time you made a promise, and you have all these 4 points here. And you generally get 4 points. You know, I'm finding, I researched this one. I'm finding different ideas. You don't have to cover them, but I think it's a good idea to cover them. And the reason why I think it's a good idea to cover them, first of all, is they give you ideas to talk about. They give you a structure as well. So you can start with the first. So if we take our example here, you start with the first point and you state who that is. And maybe you could describe that person. Then you state what the promise is and then talk about why. And then was the promise easy to achieve? You know, you can get through this really quickly, but you want to expand on your answers with details, okay? You want to explain. You want to describe as well. And you want to use the details to do that. So I really think it's a good idea to follow these points. You don't really, again, it's kind of said, I'm finding websites that say you should, some websites that say you don't have to. So I think that it's a good idea that you use them. They give you that structure. They give you the ideas to talk about. And you can certainly, if you have time, you can go beyond these as well. So that's what I suggest. The next myth is repeating ideas from the cue card while answering follow-up questions. This is the last myth. Some people think that I can answer the follow-up question by stating the same ideas for the cue card, but this is not true because the follow-up questions, even though they're based on the topic, they go beyond the topic. They go beyond the topic. And they go beyond your experience as well. What they're really doing is testing your ability to talk about abstract ideas. They're based on the topic. So you shouldn't repeat ideas from the cue card. What you should be able to do for the follow-up questions is to be able to express your opinion about the question. Compare and contrast different ideas, and then draw conclusions. Maybe even give examples if you can. So you need to think a little bit more here for the follow-up questions. So the follow-up questions are testing your language at a higher level of ability. So that's really, that's what that is. Okay, so I want to thank you for joining me today. Are there any questions? Does anyone have any questions? So it's been a pleasure having you. Sorry for all the disruptions, the dog barking, but I live in India and that's what you get. So, but I want to thank you guys for being patient. I really appreciate it, being understanding. You guys are great. I really enjoy being here with you guys. So any questions, don't be afraid. If you have questions, do post them. So about myself, I've been teaching IELTS, TOEFL, spoken English, and interview preparation for over 8 years. I've also have extensive experience writing IELTS tests for about the same number of years, as well as other tests as well. So I know IELTS inside and out. And that's the same thing with all our instructors here at My IELTS Tutor. I don't know about the dog barking outside, but I think he wants to get in on the action as well. So My IELTS Tutor, we're here to help you guys do the best you can here with your IELTS exam. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any questions. That's okay. So let's move on. Now, I want to spend some time talking about My IELTS Tutor. Okay, My IELTS Tutor, we provide premium live online training. So this is just pretty much what we offer, but the bottom line of what we offer is a customized study plan. We take your needs seriously. We take your needs into account. Because of this, we have small group sessions, no more than 4, maybe 5 students in a group. This is much different than a brick and mortar institute where you sit in a classroom with 20 to 30 other students. You get individualized attention with us. You also get individualized attention with speaking, one-to-one speaking. We also have live sessions in writing, small groups writing, so you get that attention as well. We have live reading discussions, ebooks and PDFs, grammar ebooks. We have a Band 9 essay bank, proven tips and strategy live sessions. And this is what part of that. Every Wednesday, I'm here at 5 o'clock, and do follow us here on YouTube. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, because we do have very live sessions there as well. We have vocabulary building tools, free access to daily idea generation, detailed one-to-one speaking and analysis, live listening lessons, understanding marking criteria, complete mock tests with detailed analysis and in-class discussions, individual practice tests on reading and listening, 8-band reading strategy for improving accuracy. And then again, we offer you a customized study plan. Okay, so that's what we offer. And so these are the faces of My IELTS Tutor, myself, Nana Chabra, and Ms. Amita. We have over 30 years of experience teaching IELTS, and we're here for you. And so these are some of our scores for recent results of our students. And as you can see, a lot of our students get 7.5, 8 bands. We do have students who have scored maybe 7 bands, but we always shoot for the highest score that the student can get. And we're committed to that. So this means that Your bands are our responsibility. That's right. Your bands are our responsibility. We're committed to doing everything we can to help you get the score you want, that you require. And we're going to do everything we can to help you do that. And so that's our commitment to you. Now, that's it for today. I want to thank you guys for joining me. It's such fun. Again, I apologize for the disturbances. And I want to thank you guys for being patient. Do follow us here on YouTube. If you want to know more about My IELTS Tutor, click on the button below and one of our representatives will get back to you as soon as possible. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.